Okay, let's move to a national champion out of Michigan. Will he, won't he follow Jim Harbaugh to the Los Angeles Chargers? Time will tell. But Kate, tell us about Blake Corum.
Blake Corum has been one of the most productive running backs over the past 2 seasons. He's a capable workhorse, fourth-year player out of Michigan. A little bit on the smaller side than you would generally like for the running back position. He's just under 5'8", fifth percentile for height, 205 pounds, 25th percentile, incredibly short arms, just under 29 inches. That ranks third percentile for running backs. Projected to go here in the second to third round. He is like an absolute bowling ball on the field. I mean, you look at what he was asked to do. He was asked to truly carry that Michigan offense, and he was the pinnacle of the offense. We talked a little bit about like JJ McCarthy and questions about him coming out. Like the reason why we didn't necessarily get to see JJ McCarthy in some of these big time situations is because Blake Corum was carrying the load. The rushing grade, every, like advanced metric you could look at, outside of probably like yards per carry, average just 5.5 yards per carry over the course of his career, which again, I'll say I'm not overly concerned about just because of the type of role that he was asked to carry at Michigan. This was a true NFL style offense that relied very heavily on the run and was built around the run. So not so concerned about the fact that that yards per carry average might be, a bit below some of the other top prospects. Not a lot to dislike about Blake Corum. Maybe coming out the biggest knocks, like again, can probably be size. Has a little bit more miles on the tires than most of these other top prospects. 675 career carries there at Michigan, but what you like to see is that he is capable of taking those full workloads, 250 plus touches out of each of the past 2 seasons. There's just not a lot to dislike about Blake Corum.
Yeah, like you look at the rushing grades, I mean, elite rushing grades throughout his collegiate career, like despite, or sorry, not despite, but delivering the best single season PFF rushing grade, 96.2 among prospects since 2018, though doing so in 2022, as opposed to like his final college year, which is fine. Corum's strong overall rushing grade too, like it translates to facing stacked boxes. Like you said, he's shorter, but he's got a decent build, like as far as being thick, with him being able to kind of push through and be used in those short distance situations, goal line situations. As a 3-year starter at Michigan too, his lowest PFF rushing grade came this past season, 83.1. So didn't quite reach the heights he did in 2022 across the board for his rushing metrics. So that was one of the concerns there, but he also scored 27 rushing touchdowns in 2023, which led the entire FBS. He has 58 total rushing touchdowns for his career. It is worth noting that 22 of those 27 touchdowns in 2023, and then 42 of his 58 career rushing touchdowns came in goal-to-go situations, which is a significant credit to his team and providing that many opportunities for him to get into those high percentile scoring positions. But he's still got to finish, and he definitely did. So, it shines some, light on his explosive run rate as well, which ranked among the bottom 5 in this year's class and 12th percentile since 2018. He had a 4.53 second 40 time, not great long speed, but, with his rushing grades, I think you can still expect him to be like a net positive as a runner on a play-to-play basis, just perhaps without like that true kind of game breaking potential, right? Where he's just, every time he touches the ball, he's going to get you make it a positive play, right? But not necessarily win you your fantasy matchups unless he's landing in a volume heavy situation that's allowing him to touch the ball a ton like he did there in Michigan. Because yeah, he like you said, he's a fluid runner. He's a physical runner. He's not necessarily getting a ton of extra yardage after contact, which, is a little bit of a concern for me. At least in 2023, he was much better in this regard in 2021 and 2022. So not sure what happened there exactly, but the 2.9 yards after contact per attempt since 2022 is 24th in this class. But there again, there's a lot to like here from him overall. Likely going to be probably late day 2 prospect, maybe. Obviously landing spot dependent, who isn't, but certainly capable of being fantasy relevant, like I said, on a number of teams, especially if they view him as an every down player, which I don't know if he's there yet. I don't know if I'd be trusting him in an every down role yet, but could definitely develop into that role if needed. I think he's just going to be a reliable back that will get you what you need him to get, and probably not a whole lot on top of that, which could work out fine again for fantasy if that volume is there.
Yeah, I mean, if he lands here with the LA Chargers, which it just feels like too natural. I mean, it just feels like it's going to happen. It's over. Like, he's going to be an immediate fantasy asset. Now, like, I do think, interestingly, like, despite the lack of yards after contact per attempt, like, has a lot of lower body strength that like can withstand contact, just maybe not as consistently as you'd like, but lots of lower body strength. And another thing that I want to highlight is I think he probably reads the field better than any running back in this draft class. I think he knows how to utilize blockers, which is an underrated skill. Something like, think of him as the opposite of a Jalen Wright. Doesn't have necessarily that size and athletic profile, but has that experience, field vision that I think NFL teams are going to be enamored with, despite the fact that, he's not going to be a guy that is a top end speedster. I think he wins in a lot of different ways, whether that be with that field vision, whether it be correctly utilizing blocking schemes. Like, I think from a mental standpoint, he's got a huge edge over most of the running backs in this class, and that's going to count for a lot.
Yeah, no, I do. I think there's definitely potential for him to be effective at the NFL level because of all of that, like you said. And I mean, the Chargers would be a fun landing spot, right? As easy as a picking as that is, like having last year's NFL goal line merchant in Gus Edwards, and then the NCAA goal line merchant in Blake Corum going head to head in a steel cage match for those touches in 2024 could be a lot of fun as well. So yeah, I like it. But yeah, Corum, really interesting. I've seen him as the top running back on some people's lists. I've seen him, outside of the top 5 as well. Like you said, just kind of speaks to that lack of consensus around this year's class, but a fun player with definitely some potential. So